Well, number one is my dad, Elmer Lee Peterson, better known as Moose, just instilled so much into my life as being a father of my two boys, because he was such a good father to me and instilled a work ethic, honesty and trust, know how to go do a job, do it the right way the first time. Really meant a lot to me. And being a dad myself and being a father, my two boys, I tried to instill the same thing in them. I think I did a pretty good job. Aaron and Ryan, they're my world. Talk to them all the time. We always have a meeting once a year. Sit them down, find out what's going on with their lives, let them vent to me about what's going on in their lives. It's just something that a dad, I think, should do.
You know, I always talk about this, and it's kind of funny because my mother and father divorced when I was 3 years old. I had a relationship with my dad, but then I got a bonus dad and a stepfather who, my love of fishing came from both. One would take me to the coast to fish, the other one would take me to his hometown to fish in freshwater. So those were some of the things that I gleaned from both of them. But just as I was stating about God the Father, one thing that I can say my biological dad did, he may not have been with me there throughout my whole childhood, but when he was there, he loved me unconditionally, even through my imperfections. So much so that he helped me through some of those times when I made those mistakes, never to beat me down because of the mistakes I made, but always just bailed me out in most cases, but loved me through it all.
When I think about fatherhood, I think about just being responsible for another life. You know, I've seen fathers before me, before I became a father, and how they treated their kids, some good and some not so good. And the bad, I said, I would never treat my kid like that. And the good, I would say, well, I would treat my kid like that, but maybe it's something I would do differently. So it taught me a lot about being fatherhood, and being in the kid's life, I thought was very important, because a lot of kids, they have fathers, but the fathers are not in their life. So I always try to be in mine's life, doing stuff, especially fishing. My boys love to fish. So, fatherhood it's kind of been a blessing, It helps to train them, teach them how to be a man. And I think mine turned out pretty decent. They have their faults, but, we all did. But, that's about pretty much what I think about fatherhood is, just training those that you're responsible for.
What I've learned and what I would say is that you don't necessarily have to have children from you to be a father. I've been blessed that I have 4 kids, and they're my kids, even though they were not from me. So for me, being a father is being accountable, being there for your family, being a model, good or bad, most hopefully good, but also be a teacher, and understanding that God is first and foremost.
When I think of fatherhood, I think of first of my experience as fatherhood, which was not good because my dad left us when I was 2, and I never saw him again until I was 17. So there were many years where I longed to see my father, but I didn't. And during that duration, I had a stepfather who was very violent, drug prone, that I saw a lot of negative ways of what a father was, which even caused me to yearn even more for my father, who I didn't know where he was at, didn't know what he was doing. But when I met my father finally at 17, there was an overwhelming joy and overwhelming happiness to have finally connect with the one who I felt was part of me being here. And as I began to spend time with him, I realized how much of him was in me. And I began to understand me more by looking at my father.
One, I knew he was going to be like me because he followed me around like a shadow. If I was outside working, you know, he was out there right along with me, doing stuff, working in the garden, working in the yard. The other one, he was a little kind of on the lazy side, but, you know, he would work if I got him out there to do. But I knew he was going to be a mechanic because every time I bought him some type of machinery, like I got him a little go-kart one time, and it started acting up, so I came home from work one day, he had it towed up, was working on it. Of course, we couldn't fix it after he got hold to it. Then one time I bought him a little motorcycle, and they loved that motorcycle. They rode it all the time. I used to take them out to ride it and stuff, and then it started acting up. I was gonna put it in the shop, but I came home one day, and it was tore apart. So I knew that other one was gonna be a mechanic.
My oldest son, Aaron, he's a real character. He's kind of, I guess I can say he's a chip off the old block. He always kept his eyes on me when I was out doing work in the yard, and would duplicate me and always end up messing up stuff, and I would get mad, but I always knew that, well, you got to watch out what you do in front of your kids because they'll go behind you and try to duplicate you, so there's no reason for you to get mad. So that really caught my attention when I get hot and they look up at me and say, well, Dad, I'm just trying to fix this up the way you did, you know, but he actually messed it up. But as he got older, hey, he got to be pretty good at what he watched.
I have so many different sayings that I would say jokingly. God, I can't. They know all of them, but I guess I'm getting older. I can't think of half of them, but they know every last one of them, and they would. It never fails. Every time we get together, the crevice of the conversation will always be something funny that I said, something funny that I did. One was every time I came home from work when I had my own business, I'd be so tired coming home, and some of my favorite saying was, "Oh Father, oh Father," and so my kids would meet the kids. We'd be sitting there in a restaurant or something, and they'd be like, "Oh Father, oh Father, oh Father," and so these are things. I mean, these are things that they would just, oh my God, to this day, they still make those sayings. They still have those favorite words, different words that I would say, or the different songs that I would listen to all the time. It's still in their minds and still in their spirits, and they'll still